With lots of people raving over intermittent fasting over the past few years, you've probably heard about it one way or another, whether you're a health and nutrition fiend or not. This pattern of eating, which lets you eat for a short period during your day and fast for the rest, has taken over the world by storm because of how feasible it is to do if you want to shed some unwanted weight and become leaner. In fact, a lot of celebrities have even tried this method out in pursuit of staying in shape. Welcome back to the Good Health Gorilla. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 8 celebrities who swear by intermittent fasting. Aside from that, we'll also be going through some geeky details about what intermittent fasting is, what are the different methods of how you can do it, as well as its pros, cons, and some insider tips on how you can maximize its health benefits. Before we get into which celebrities rave over intermittent fasting, let's get a little technical first and let us explain what intermittent fasting is. Intermittent fasting isn't new at all, because it's already been making waves in the health and fitness realm for years already. In fact, it's been around for centuries. Our early ancestors have most likely done intermittent fasting unknowingly because before humans learned how to farm crops, they had to rely on hunting and gathering food, which takes a lot of time, so they had to learn how to survive on going for long periods without eating. That same concept is being applied now in intermittent fasting. You basically have a time frame for eating and then you have a time frame for fasting. During your eating period, you're allowed to eat anything you want as long as your meals mainly consist of wholesome, nutritious foods. Think Mediterranean diet. Whole grains, plenty of green leafy vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and lean protein. But the rule of thumb is, during your fasting phase, you're only allowed to have 0-calorie beverages such as water or plain black coffee and tea. It's also a great idea to incorporate exercise into your daily routine if you decide to try out intermittent fasting, as it will be a surefire way to kick the fat burning process up a notch. There are different ways and schedules on how you can approach intermittent fasting, and we'll be diving into that deeper later on as we talk about each celebrity on this list. But in a nutshell, you are to choose a time period for you to consume your meals and to fast. Your schedule may range from fasting a few hours per day to 2 full days a week. It all depends on your lifestyle, your schedule, and how you want it to be. This lets your body burn fat by prolonging the time your body uses up its sugar reserves as well as the calories you ate during your last meal. With that said, let's get into this 8 celebrity list. Number 1. Halle Berry. The actress shared with her Instagram followers through an Instagram story post in November 2018 that she loved to do intermittent fasting as she spoke to her personal trainer, Peter Lee Thomas. She typically skips breakfast and has her first meal of the day at about 2 p.m. Number 2. Gisele Bündchen. The Brazilian supermodel revealed in her self-written book, Lessons, that she follows the 5-2 intermittent fasting plan. With this plan, she usually eats regularly 5 days a week, and on the 2 remaining days, she restricts her calories to 500 to 600 per day. During her fasting days, she prefers to fast until lunchtime to let her body get accustomed to the fasting period, but you could totally tailor this to your preferences should you choose to do the same. Number 3. Hugh Jackman. Whether or not you've seen Wolverine, we're positive that you've seen Mr. Hugh Jackman in one of his most renowned roles. We're also sure that you've seen how ripped he was, pun intended, in that said film. The secret? The 16-8 intermittent fasting method alongside a rigorous training program dubbed as the Wolverine workout designed by trainer David Kingsbury. The two combined with a healthy diet have helped Wolverine himself to gain muscle and become leaner. The 16-8 method is arguably the most famous and the easiest way of doing intermittent fasting. With this approach, you eat for 8 hours and then fast for 16. It's pretty straightforward and easy to do, which is why this method has been the plan that most people adhere to in the long haul. Fourth on our list is Elsa Pataky, who has started doing intermittent fasting thanks to her husband Chris Hemsworth. In an interview done last December 2019, the Spanish star has stated, "Chris, he got me into fasting, so I've started fasting now. I was always like, I don't know, and it's really hard, but then I started reading about it." With the addition of intermittent fasting to her typical diet and exercise routine, she uses this approach to mainly stay in shape and for one of its many benefits, that being a supplementary anti-aging tool. Number 5. Scarlett Johansson. The Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson is also no stranger to intermittent fasting. She reportedly did intermittent fasting simultaneously with a strict diet and workout regimen to stay fit for her physically demanding role as a superhero. Harper's Bazaar US heard it first from the actress's trainer, Eric Johnson, last April 2019, before the release of Avengers Endgame, that Johansson typically fasted for 12 hours every day. They would sometimes bump it to 14 to 15 hours, which they constantly tweaked and adjusted depending on the actress's filming schedule. Number 6. Reese Witherspoon. Although the star of Legally Blonde did not necessarily use the term intermittent fasting, she did tell Radio Times in an interview conducted last 2019 that she only consumes beverages such as coffee and green juice in lieu of breakfast, just like her morning show co-star Jennifer Aniston, who, by the way, also swears by the magic of intermittent fasting. Number 7. Mindy Kaling. Twitterverse has had a hearty laugh as Mindy Kaling shared her 2018 tweet that she had a love-hate relationship with intermittent fasting. She shared, 16-8 more like 16-hate. Now, if you're someone who has tried intermittent fasting, we're 100% sure that we've all been there. And last on our list is number 8, Chris Hemsworth. Another superhero on the list. According to Luke Zocchi, the actor's personal trainer and dear friend, intermittent fasting has helped Hemsworth drop weight like crazy for a sailor role he had to play in called In the Heart of the Sea. Zocchi stated that it was a challenge for Hemsworth to lose weight for the film because he was already lean after doing a certain role. Mr. Hemsworth was already following a rigorous training program and a healthy diet, but they found that this still wasn't enough for them to achieve his target weight. Thus, they tried doing the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting and voila, target weight achieved. Now we all know what this sounds like. You get to lose weight by choosing when to eat and you don't have to restrict yourself to a boiled egg and a banana for lunch? That's too good to be true. So what's the catch? Intermittent fasting surely has a plethora of benefits aside from burning fat, retaining muscle mass, cell renewal, a clearer mind, and so much more. But as with any kind of diet or pattern of eating, this may have some cons and may not be for everyone. Before you start your intermittent fasting journey or any kind of health endeavor in general, you must always seek medical advice first. This is to make sure that you really know if a certain lifestyle is a fit for you and your well-being, because this surely is a huge lifestyle shift. Moreover, intermittent fasting is generally not recommended for people who are under 18 years old, for pregnant or breastfeeding women, for people with eating disorders and unhealthy relationships with food, for people with diabetes or blood sugar related disorders, and for people with gastrointestinal disorders. Should you experience dizziness, nausea, fatigue, fainting, headaches, or other adverse events as soon as you start intermittent fasting, it is important that you inform a medical professional as well. We live in a generation where it's normal to stay up all night binging your favorite TV show while simultaneously binging on your favorite snack. That isn't necessarily a bad thing to do, because what's not to love about laying on your couch the whole day watching your favorite show with a huge fluffy pillow on one arm and a bowl of ice cream on the other, right? However, instead of being something that's done weekly, that is something that most of us do on a daily basis. You know how the cliche goes, too much of something is always a bad thing. With that said, practicing intermittent fasting and learning how to eat wholesome, nutritious foods definitely wouldn't hurt. We still aren't sure about the long-term health benefits it provides because there still aren't any long-term studies conducted on this subject, but it sure does beat having to face type 2 diabetes and obesity, right? Not to mention you'll get an A-lister physique, a definite win-win. This brings us to the end of the video. As always, we would like to reiterate that our videos are not to replace professional medical advice. It is still of the utmost importance to speak to a licensed medical professional if you wish to follow any kind of diet or anything that could affect your health. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button to show us some love, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you won't miss any of our latest videos. Until next time.